Well, hello again. I want to give everybody an update. I've kind of been dragging getting down here the last few weeks. If you watch our other channel, the Kelly's Outdoors, you've heard me talk a lot about selling the house, moving over, just that whole process. Man, it's so involved. And it's ate up a lot of my time. So much time that I am way behind on everything, it seems like. So up until a couple days ago, I hadn't been down the food plot in the last week and a half, as sad as that is. Just been so tied up. But I wanted to give y'all an update and show you some pretty amazing results. And actually, this is kind of what I see every year, so this is why I stick with millet now, because it's just such a good grower. But if you'll remember, the video I released, I don't know, it was probably 2 weeks ago I recorded it. I release these videos at different times, so don't get too confused with when I do release them. But I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks is probably all that's on this millet right now, and it's just amazing. It is 2 to 3 foot tall, already starting to seed out everywhere. You can see this very edge that's yellowing up. That's partly due to some sandy soil right there, but mainly due to the fact that I run out of fertilizer before I got this last edge. And you know, I told you in that video that sometimes I'll come out and hit this with fertilizer again. I'm just not going to this year. I might as well save the money. This is still very, very dark green. I'm happy with what I'm seeing. Everything is seeding out amazingly well, and you can see why I plant it so thick now. There is not a weed in sight. So, you know, I explained in another video, I purposely plant my millet twice as thick as recommended. It does tend to stunt the growth, but I'll wind up with probably hundreds of thousands, probably millions of seeds out here when this is all said and done. It's just amazing how much seed. And there's no weed competition. It shades it all out. That's why I love planting it as thick as I do. This tiny little strip right here will still seed out, even though it's stunted, yellow. It's begging for some fertilizer. I may take the fuller and hit this one little strip, but everything else looks so good. I'm not worried about a few little patches that doesn't get real thick seed. And if y'all can remember, this was all volunteer stuff that come up that was planted last year. I did not plant this. Have not fertilized this. That's why it looks like it does. I run over it with a tractor time and time again. You know, purposely just about tried to kill it, just running over it so much, and it still came up. So this is starting to yellow and die off. You can look at all the seed there coming off of it. This is your millet seed. So this is where I expect this to be in a few more weeks. It'll eventually start browning off and dying over, and it'll hold on the stalk for a little while, as long as you don't have really bad wind, and then I can come out here and mow it down. But you can see the amount of seed that this is putting on. This is great. I mean, it's just starting to sprout out everywhere, and these will get really full. So maybe that'll explain why I do what I do. Maybe y'all might want to plant the same way. You can see the deer love getting it and bedding up in it. That's what all these knockdown spots are. So it gets used by a bunch of animals. My corn strip, my experimental corn strip, didn't do so well. You can see that I'm still having some corn tossling out. And there's going to be a patch to hide in out there. It really needed more attention, more fertilizer. I just couldn't give it the attention this year with us selling the house and moving. And I don't know if y'all also remember a couple weeks ago when I made that same video as well, if you've been following along. You know, I had planted this in soybeans, and the deer came out here and wiped it out over a couple nights. So I was getting ready to chop it all under again, and I noticed something that looked like millet coming up. So I left it alone because it was coming up thick. And look at the amount of millet out here. This is just crazy. I did not plant this in millet at all. Did not take care of this, and this is what's come up volunteer since last year. I don't know if you can see, there's a different type of millet out there in the middle that's kind of bending over. That's called proso millet. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. The last time I planted that type of millet was 4 years ago. So now I'm really, really scratching my head. This stuff apparently will lay dormant in the ground for a while, and it'll come up just whenever the heck it feels like it. So this was never meant to be an addition on to my dove strip here. It just wound up being that way. And if you look at this, for no attention, I've got more seed than I'll know what to do with out here. So I'll let this brown off as well, and I'll either burn it or do what I typically do. mow it down with the flail mower. Sometimes I'll take my 0-turn out here and blow all the dead stuff off to the side, and you'll be left with just bare ground and more seed than you can imagine. So I'll be showing y'all that in the upcoming weeks. So over the next few days, if Mother Nature here will leave me alone, and she sure hasn't here lately, it's been raining constantly. I've got to get over there on the other side of the field. We can see that dirt and all that green, chop that in. I'm way behind, and I need to get that planted in millet, and that'll be something I'll cut down a little bit later in the season. So things are coming along, not as planned. I've actually wound up with more millet than I thought. I've got to go back up here on the top. This strip ends right here, and chop all that in. That's more volunteer millet coming out up there that I did not want. And I've got to hurry up and get that planted in some soybeans, and I've got some iron clay peas. That'll be for the deer. I'll just keep that little top strip there. I'm still working on the shooting house. It's pretty much done, other than a little bit of weather stripping. I'm gonna try to jump on that today. If I do, I'll put it in the video. It's gonna be hit or miss with the weather. I've got to come out and do a bunch of mowing. This field over here beside us, it's really thick. So I need to focus on mowing as well. I need to sharpen some mower blades. The list goes on and on and on. But just wanted to give y'all an update on this. Did not turn out as planned, but actually it's turned out quite well. So I'm happy with the results, especially with no more than attention than I've given it. So we should wind up with more than enough seed to shoot a few doves over. And hey, I'm kind of pleased I didn't get my butt in gear and come out here and put even more fertilizer on it, because it looks like it would have been a waste of money, because it's still doing really well. So that's the food plot. This property has a decent amount of elevation change. As soon as we get down this corner and start going uphill, it's one of the steepest stretches that I have on the property. Y'all can see all them turkeys in the back running out of the field. Dang, I hate to spook them. Looks like there's about 6 of them back there. Wanted to show y'all something real quick. It's amazing how quick things change. I'm doing this video over 2 days because we had a horrible, and I mean horrible, storm come yesterday, about 2 hours after filming this. This was my brown top millet plot. I showed you yesterday just how beautiful it was. Everything was tall, and now look, completely laid flat. We had rain coming here sideways, lots of wind, and almost my entire plot has been laid down other than the short stuff that hadn't had a chance to really get up yet. I'm certainly hoping it's going to come back. I've experienced this one time before, not the whole plot, but some patches. And if I remember correctly, I think it'll stay laid down, but it'll bend back toward the sun and should last long enough to continue to put seed on. At least I hope. I certainly hope I didn't just lose the whole plot just like that. So that's amazing how things can go from showing it off and it's good to 2 hours later, all laid down, and here it is. But so goes life, don't they say? But now that this is laid down, you can see that a little bit of corn that I planted, it's doing halfway okay. A lot of millet come up in that and kind of choked it out. I didn't get to go back and hit it with fertilizer like I was hoping to. Just, been so tied up with the house move. But it's plenty tall enough to hide in. It'll serve its purpose. So fingers crossed, guys, that my millet does come back and continues to put on seed, even though it's all broke over and laid over. I'm hoping it's still attached to the root structure and will do what I need it to do. This millet did pretty well through the storm. I guess it was just as thick as it was, and it's different types. Some of it is laid over, but I still see plenty of seed heads out there in the sun. So hopefully this bigger patch makes it. Over the next couple of days, I'll start working that other patch in and try to work some dirt in up there and plant something for the deer.